Hello everyone, Basharov here, and welcome to the final episode of Great Bear School of Construction, where we apply everything we learned to build some really cool stuff. We know how to build structures from furniture, and we know how to stay in Safehouse customization outside. The only piece of puzzle missing is how to actually place stuff outside, since normally any placement outside bounds of customizable areas is invalid, even if you do manage to break out of the bounds and stay in customization mode. There are actually two ways to build outside. The first one is a lot easier to pull off, and it doesn't even require you to go outside, but it also limits you to be near a customizable safe house. We don't even need to learn any new tricks. All we have to do is to use the mighty floppy disk to place items out of bounds in buildings that don't have a loading screen. Since floppy disk placement is always valid when placing it on walls, combining it with the binding glitch lets us easily build furniture outside. This is particularly useful if all you would like to do is, for example, have an outdoor workbench near your safe house, but there isn't one. You can also use this on most walls outside. For example, if you want a workbench near your favorite fishing hut, so that you can make new tip-ups when needed, just place the floppy disk on the fishing hut wall. This is the preferred way of building outside whenever possible, as it's relatively simple and pain-free, and you can do a lot of cool stuff with this method alone. But it's mostly just suitable for simpler builds, when you don't need to bind too much at once, and even more importantly, when there is a wall near your desired spot. The question is, what do you do if that's not the case? For more complex builds, we need to learn how to truly place furniture anywhere with the help of one final exploit. And the exploit itself is not even new, it has existed in the game for years. Once again, ancient magic saves the day. Way before Safehouse customization was even announced, this trick was used to place campfires at any spot. Steep hills, fishing huts, cars, or even on trees. And all it requires is saving the game while placing a campfire, then reloading, and the campfire would be placed at the position the player was placing it the moment the game saved, no matter where. There are many ways to save the game, but most of them are not going to be very comfortable if you want to save to use this trick, as going inside buildings, sleeping, passing time, or even struggles won't really work, since you need to be placing a fire at the same time. Getting most afflictions or being low on health is the typical way to save. The least painful ways are probably to get a sprain if you're doing this anywhere near a steep hill, or walk through a burning fire. Fire damage is actually a lot lower than one might think, and the burns are easily healed after you're done. Just make sure to unequip your boots and pants, as they do take damage as well. In cases where you need the placement to be very precise, getting hypothermia is probably your least bad option. However, that's not only dangerous, but also very time consuming, as hypothermia takes hours to develop, so you should try to use the campfire whenever possible. If you don't care about cheating, you can also save at any point very easily using console commands. Though at that point you might as well install other mods that make building easier. This method was very handy when making these videos though, as it's just so much simpler. But on normal runs, I'd still rather do it the usual way. This trick is really overpowered as it also works with fishing holes, letting you fish in some very unusual and possibly scenic places. With this trick, fishing can be as easy as shooting fish in a barrel. By the way, you can actually do that. And it works with snow shelters too, but it does not work with rock caches. Snow shelters are particularly interesting as you can enter them, and if placed just right, they can be used to clip through walls. Did you know there's a hidden row behind Grey Mother's house in Mountain Town? Well, now you do. It's a remnant from the old days when Mountain Town used to look a little different, before they remade the first two episodes of Wintermute. Personally, I'd never seriously utilized this exploit in most runs, as it is a bit too strong, but it is nice to know it exists. And if this is not broken enough for you, using this trick to build snow shelters costs no resources, but harvesting it back still gives you some cloth and sticks, letting you duplicate resources and giving you infinite cloth. Anyway, now that we understand how the trick works, we can just use the same for furniture to build outside. And before you get the idea to save the game using Safehouse customization instead of getting an infliction, don't. This will remove whatever you're moving and place it back to its original position before saving, so we still need to use campfires, ledges, or steep slopes. With all the tricks we've learned, we pretty much turn customization into base building, and your imagination is the only limit to what you can possibly build. One of the simpler yet more useful builds is to fix the Cannery bridge in Blick Inlet, letting you avoid the parkour in future visits. And if you're patient enough, you could build a proper cabin or your very own fishing hut with a bear mat, fire barrel, and all the good stuff. Remember that these are all not intended, so a house built like this still counts as outside, meaning cold temperatures, especially on higher difficulties, but the upside is that you can also use it to deal with cabin fever. Building a proper cabin from scratch is also an extremely time-consuming project. Just gathering all the resources could take well over 100 days, and building it another 100, but at least it gives us something to do on very long runs. Even with all these exploits and the ability to build outside, it's less powerful than half the stuff that was added to the game in the past few years. So I'm hoping Hinterland won't prioritize fixing this stuff anytime soon, as their hands are full anyway, and I can think of so many worse glitches to focus on that potentially ruin entire runs. And even if they do fix it eventually, I really wanted to share this with the community. I've learned this stuff a couple months since the customization update, but didn't want to keep it for myself, even if it means they will fix it one day. I wanted to wait a bit to make sure it wouldn't be hotfixed before sharing, and it took quite some time to get all the footage and piece it together for all these videos. Lastly, I'd like to address the inevitable "why don't you just use mods" question, and at the same time point out that there are indeed many great customization mods that one can use to achieve this much more easily. But to me, the process of figuring this out with just base game mechanics is what made it so interesting in the first place. Also, not everyone can use mods, so this is a way for people that can't or don't want to. But if you do, and just want a cool cabin, you should check out some of the customization mods such as Safehouse Customization Plus or the Architect mod. That's it for this series. The last thing I'll show you is the full custom fishing hut building process. Thank you all for watching.